Reasons, Melvin Lois Sheesby, a great impact on my life when I was just a boy. To be with Rex and Deb, they are just wonderful. I love being around Rex. He's a pumper-upper. He always makes you feel so welcome, and what a tremendous couple they are. And I just want you to know that we thank you so much for the help that you've given us in Africa. And I don't ever want to come back here and you think that we're just in the same place, because we're not, and we're moving forward. But before I go into the work, thank you for your prayers. It's amazing to live in this day and time that you can get a new lease on life, and that's what I've been given, and I'm so thankful for it. But it's just going so well, and thank you for your concerns and prayers. It really has made the difference. We are moving forward in Africa. You know, Africa is unique. Well, maybe there's other places in the world too, but unique in things can be unpredictable. And but you work with that, and you learn to work with that. And you'll find the people there that are on the ground, our brothers and sisters, are just working around whatever difficulties they have. It doesn't slow them down one iota, and that's why I love being with them. Just want you to know where we are working. We really started in Zimbabwe. That is really our home base, but we have expanded into other areas, and the area we work is probably 22 times the size of even Florida. I put a few other states there as well, but it's a large area of a little over 90 million people, and we added Lesotho this year to our work. But we are working in all these areas and doing good works, and also preaching and teaching, and we are thankful that we are able to do that with a great team on the ground there as well. It's called SADC, South African Development Countries, Southern African Development Countries, and if you live there, this is more than likely what your condition would be, your situation. You probably would be, you don't live quite as long, and you don't make as much money, like 97% less on an average. And so, you know, I just feel so blessed that I can live in this country, and then with the generosity that this nation has, churches like you, we can do so much in Africa, and I'm thankful for that. So what's happened so far in 2016? Well, our son has joined us. He's our middle child. Sherry and I are blessed with 3 children. They're all married. We've got 4 grandchildren. Life's good, what can I say? And it really was icing on the cake when at the end of last year, our son and our oldest son and his wife said, we want to work with you. And a few months before that was before I had all my heart issues and everything, somebody said, you know, Dorian, you're getting on in years. What are you going to do with this work? And, well, the Lord took care of it. So we took our son, where I was the pulpit minister that Rex mentioned before, Cross Point Church of Christ there in Florence. They said they'll be his sponsor. And so he came with us last summer and did some of our good works, stayed at our facility that we have there in Bulawayo with the family that oversees it. There's 2 of their children. And so he did some of the good works and connected with the people, you know, that we work with there. And so we are glad for Lee and for what he is doing. My mother and father went with us this summer. In fact, they were supposed to be here tonight, but they are sick. They've got all that gunk that's going around in Florence, you know, and so they've just had to. Mom's in bed right now, but they're doing better. But my dad's 90 and my mom's 86, and they came to Africa last summer. So if you come to me after tonight and you say, you know, I really wanted to go to Africa. Well, if you're not 90 yet. This was at the Nkulamani Church of Christ, and it was wonderful to sit there and have my son and my father do the Lord's Supper. They asked me to speak later, but I want you to know that there was over 600 people there that Sunday. Amazing group of people. So, our good works. We have the ACT project, which is Africa Container Transport, and we ship these containers over filled with clothes and textbooks and medical equipment. And, you know, we thought that wouldn't it be wonderful to ship 120 foot a year? You know, and we have shipped Last year we shipped 3 40-foots. You know how much they cost? Between 11 and 12,000 to send. But we've got people that have stepped up to the plate and said, Dorian, if you can fill it, we'll write the check. I like that, you know. So we are glad for that so much. And just want you to know that one container has 1,250 banana boxes, and we can give to 15 churches who then give to their communities. Can I throw something out to you right now? We are wanting 10,000 pairs of shoes from churches here in the United States by the end of April. And I know you got a lot of things going on here, but I'm just wondering if you, just as a church, might want to clean out your closets. We don't want flip-flops and sandals just because it's open-toed. We'd like for them to have shoes, but they don't have to be new. They can be used just as long as they are solid. But we'll come down here, and Highlands is going to help us, and we'll come up and pick up those shoes in April sometime, and we're going to ship a container around late May or so. So think about that. That'll be something. By the way, 27 containers. The 27th one is already gone. We've got one in Nashville at Healing Hands. That's going to be a medical container. And then we've got one we're shipping out this Saturday out of Florence, Alabama. 8.5 years. And we've shipped that many containers. And they have done so much good. And you know, these good works, the end game is not that someone gets clothes or that high schools get textbooks. Do you know out of the textbooks that have gone into the high schools, we now have 15,000 World Bible School students in Bulawayo. And we got our own office there, and we are thankful for that. Our dad project is drilling water wells, and if all of us that have grown up in Matabele land, we know or lived in Matabele land, we know it's a dry area. That's southern Zimbabwe, and the joke is if you jump off a bridge, you dust yourself off, you know. And so we have drilled wells in South Africa, Zimbabwe, Swaziland, and Zambia, but predominantly has been in Zimbabwe. We set a goal. In 8.5 years, we wanted to do 50. In 10 years, we wanted to do 50 wells. Well, we did 50 wells in 8.5 years, right now we're drilling 3 more in Zambia. So we are just thankful. And of course, you know, some of those areas, life expectancy 37 years, and then you bring water and you change the dynamics because you bring fresh water, then they start drip irrigation and they start growing vegetables, and then it's awesome. For that. So our 49th and 50th well was done in Zambia, and just across Kariba Dam, actually by the wall there, and we are thankful for that. We are right now feeding between 700 and 800 orphans a week, and we have got volunteers. Can I just remind you that all the money that's given for these good works goes for the good works. There is no overhead. This lady that you see here cooks with 3 other women every week for 200 children at a school close to the airport in Bulawayo. And they have done it for the last 7 years. And they get up and they make their fire. That is their commercial kitchen. And they will cook their different kinds of meals for different days. And they feed those children. And they don't get a penny for it. Some of them might take some cooked food home, but we said if we started good works, nobody gets paid, or everybody that's in it is volunteers, and they're doing it because it's their ministry, and they want to glorify God through this avenue, and we are thankful for that. And so here's some of the kids in a high-density area in the city of Bulawayo called Njube, and they're all orphans, and they're all coming to Sunday school, and they all get Bible stories, while they get the food as well. So we are thankful. And I know a lot of these children are going to become dynamite Christians in the years to come, because they're going to reflect and they're going to say, there was this group called the Churches of Christ, and they came and fed us food. But you know what? The greatest thing that they gave us, didn't know it at the time, was the spiritual food. And it's given us a whole perspective, a new perspective on life. So it was very dry when we were there this summer, all the way through the end of August. And the drought was probably as bad as it has been in 30 years, and so all through Africa there. And so we try to feed as many churches and communities where we hadn't been able to get wells to yet. And so we did a lot of feeding in the rural areas, and thankful for that. You should try that sometime. Put a bag of mealie meal on your head and see how many steps you can take. I have reached 4 steps before it fell. There's quite an art to that. It's kind of like watching a professional play golf and going, well, that looks easy. Let me get out there and do it. Yeah, right. These are heading to a village. This is a couple in northern South Africa that we work with in Venda. And they live outside a city called Thohoyandou. And they're newlyweds. Dynamic couple, we feed an orphanage there, and we work with that orphanage. But she is quite funny. Her name is Uno, and in Venda, that's her name, but in English it means love. And she says to me, she's quite a comic, she says, Brother Flynn, newlyweds now, she says, you know, my husband's name is Zia Kondi. And she says, you know what that means? In English, it means difficult. Anyway, so this is everybody that we feed, we give them a bag of cornmeal, which is 10 kg, 22 pounds, and then a bag of beans and a bottle of oil, and that'll feed a family of 4. So usually, sometimes we'll give them more, but that'll for about a month if they stretch it, and that's so we are thankful that we can do that. This lady right here is amazing because she's about to walk 1.5 miles in Venda to her village, and she's got the baby on her back, and she's got the 22 pounds, and she's got her oil, and she's got her beans, and she is smiling. Isn't it amazing? These are the orphans that we help. And you know what I love about uniforms? Is because no matter what financial class you come from, when you are at school, you're all on the same level. And I love that about them, because these orphans have barely got a set of clothes. They do now because we've given them clothes. But if they had to wear their same old street clothes, they'd wear the same shorts and shirts every day. And I like uniforms for that reason. We also help feed in Swaziland, and a friend to all of us that are from Southern Africa, Colin van Dyke, Dick van Dyke at the back there with the beard. Him and his wife do an amazing work in Swaziland. They have planted several congregations, have just finished planting another one, and he has also served as director of the Bible school there. He is a unique individual, but he has done so much for the Lord. And what I am amazed at them about is they have lost 2 children. You know, it's just not a natural thing to lose 1 child and then to lose 2. And yet their attitude is just amazing. You know, you see their deep abiding faith in the Lord. And so we help do feedings in Swaziland as well. And there the ladies go as normal. We brought a group from Jackson Christian in Jackson, Tennessee. Jackson Christian High School is a Church of Christ school, and they came for their spring break. And we had 14 seniors. They're all in college now. And I tell you what, they really impacted my life, but we impacted their life, because when we went out to one of the villages called Intabazanduna, outside, about 50 miles outside the city of Bulawayo, Zimbabwe, they started crying, because they have grown up privileged, and they hadn't been to Africa before or other places that were destitute, but they did a wonderful job. One of the ladies, her and her husband built our clinic, and I'll say more about it later. That's Faith, you see there, Faith Vimba. She was expecting at the time. This was in March. And by the way, that group is coming again. And if we've got a group of young people here, I would say when it comes to your senior trip, come to Africa. Come to Africa. We'll take care of you. But anyway, they wanted to know about dating. You know, they got talking. She's pregnant, married. They said, well, what about dating? And I'm not going to go to through all the details. But those girls sat there, and Faith said, well, to cut it short, you know, my uncle went to his uncle when we decided we wanted to marry each other, and then they had to negotiate my bride price, you know. It's called Lobola, and how much cattle I'm worth. And those girls just looked. You're joking, Faith, aren't you? No, it's different here. Different here. So we're feeding, and people observe our good works. You know, they keep an eye on what we're doing. And these two ladies here with babies on their back saw what we had been doing at this community center and said, can we help? They weren't going to church anywhere. And Noma Malungani said, yes, come and you can help us. And so they helped cook the sadza and all of that. And then they said, why are you doing this and who are you? Well, those are great entry questions, you know. So anyway, they started coming to church and studied the Bible. And so now that they are sisters in Christ, as you can see, they were immersed into Christ. Had a preacher friend from West Memphis come, and he did that. This is special to me, because this is Brother Valapi Malungani, one of the veteran preachers there, an amazing man, been in news media for much of his life. Newscasts at Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation. Now it has the World Bible School office. The ladies of Matabele land had their lectureship. They do it every year in southern Zimbabwe. They had about 300 women attend, and it was out in a rural area. And there was 3 women from this one village that came, and they didn't know too much about what it was, but they wanted to be a part of it. And they come to hear about Jesus' saving power, and they all 3 were immersed into Christ. And when they got back to their village, their younger sister in her 30s, full-blown AIDS, bedridden, they told her about the exciting news, and she said in her weak voice, I want what you want. And so Brother Valapi went out there and shared with her the gospel, and so they wrapped her up in a blanket, and they took her to the pond, and they immersed her into Christ. And so we gave out 12,000 pairs of shoes, because we had a drive for 10,000, and we collected 12,000 pairs of shoes. These next 10,000 are going to go to Zambia, but this was at Zimbabwe, and it's amazing. You know the Africa story where there's 2 guys, and they both work for the same shoe company, and they both come to Africa, and one guy says, can't sell shoes here because nobody wears shoes. And then the other guy says, there's no shoes here, send me all you got, you know. And that's what we did. All we got, we started giving it out to them that had no shoes. There was an 11-year-old girl that had to be taught how to tie her shoelaces, because she had never had shoes before, and so we were thankful for that, and they were all excited. This guy, he came up to me and he said, take my picture. I mean, I didn't tell him to do that. He was so impressed with his shoes, man. Got to have some clout in the village there. I think so, you know. So anyway, some of the people that collected shoes, this girl, I wish I could put a picture of her face. I was just taking so many pictures. That smile, she couldn't believe she got shoes that color. You know, let alone shoes, but that color, it was just blew her away. Some of the people that collected shoes also put socks in there as well, and that helped a lot. And so just shoes given, and just so many people. And of course, that's just all entry opportunities to share the good news of Jesus Christ. So what's up with the clinic? When I was here last time, we had completed the clinic, but it hadn't been registered yet. And I'll tell you what, we were having problems. I mean, in the sense that, you know, I want things done yesterday because I have a U.S. mentality now, you know. Well, that's the way we function, man. And so Bruce Vimber, who built this wonderful brother, he'd be going to the different offices in Harare and Bulawayo, and they just kind of taking their time and nothing's happening. And so we start praying about it. You know, we're sitting there with a lovely facility, you know, and we had got a clinic in Jackson, Tennessee, who was moving to another location, and they gave us all their beds. And I mean, we got a pristine clinic. It is just an amazing place. In fact, one government minister, when he went through it, said, man, if I'm going to get sick, I want to come here. You know, yeah, I bet you do. So we're praying, and the Lord is working, because faith, pregnant Faith that you saw with all those high school students, her aunt is married to a doctor in Harare, the capital. And he becomes the personal physician of one of the vice presidents. And then the vice president asks her to be his point person. And wherever he went, she makes sure of security, and she makes takes care of his meals and all of that. So they're driving in a car one day, going somewhere, and she says, I have a niece in Bulawayo. She attends the Churches of Christ, and they have built a clinic, and they cannot get the necessary licenses to get it up and running. And he said to her, whose head must roll? She said, no, I just want it to be opened. And Bruce calls me and he says, Dorian, it is so strange. I was going to the offices begging for people to respond, calling them, asking to they respond, and nothing. And he said, you know what's happened? They are calling me, and Mr. Vimba, what can I do? How can we get this up and running? So anyway, I just want you to know the clinic is up and running now, and the first week we had 300, and we're having between 200 and 300 a week in an area serving 20 villages, not too far from, about 50 miles outside the city of Bulawayo in a rural area. If you build a rural clinic in Zimbabwe, the government provides the nurses, and they also provide a doctor to come 3 days a week. And so between that, we have six nurses right now, and we'll end up having 12 there. And so between that and us putting medical teams together now, we held back a little bit just because it wasn't functioning. We wanted to make sure it was up and running. So we are glad for that, and we appreciate our nurses who are taking care of them. I got a call last week, and Bruce, a week before last, and Bruce says, Dorian, one of the villages, they were just celebrating what the Church of Christ Clinic had done. A young boy had been bitten by a poisonous snake, and they saved his life, you know. And so they were celebrating that. So how do you support a clinic in Zimbabwe? Are you going to have U.S. support until Jesus comes back? I don't want to do that. Sherry and I decided that when we build something there, we want it to be sustained there. We might get U.S. money to get it up and going, but it's going to be sustained. So how do you do that? Well, you have to have at least 2 or 3 revenue streams. So we thought about it. We thought end of last year, and Bruce is the one that said, listen, agriculture, because we've drilled our wells, we can get something going here. So I said to Bruce, why don't you plant some tomato plants? So he planted 1,500 tomato plants. I want you to know, every one of those sticks, they went into the bush and cut those to hold up those tomato plants. And they did it with an axe. There's no power tools, you know. They've not heard of Black & Decker, you know. So it starts reaping in March, and because of the climate, do you know that they took tomatoes to the market every week through the first week of August? And so we said, wait a minute, we've got something going here. I want you to know that when I got there in July, they were picking, and the way we got this going is we don't have all the equipment, you know, that you know, other people have, all that heavy, expensive farm equipment, but we've got plenty of people that were unemployed and want to work. And so 2 families, we said, we'll give you 5% of the crop each. Well, talk about excited. We didn't say that we would pay them. We said, you got ownership with us. 2 Christian families out there that live out there. And so now they're entrepreneurs, man. This is big deal. So I get there in July, and the guy comes to me and he says, come. And I'd have walked down that middle row that you see there. He says, come, I want you to come down there. And then he said, when I got into the middle of the tomato field, he says, kneel down. And I'm kneel down, and he said, Brother Flynn, last night I saw Adam and Eve. Because he thinks it's the Garden of Eden, man. It's so funny. So we got a good idea of how much we got. So you know what we're doing right now? We're planning 15,000. Do you know what do you know what the income is from 15,000 tomato plants? Because we've got all the contracts set up now. You know, you'll reap low end $60,000, high end $100,000. It's going to sustain a clinic, and then we're building a herd of cattle too, because Matabele land is cattle country. And when you start getting those things going, and we've got a couple of other ideas I'm not going to share with you right now because it's not real right now, but that's going to sustain things. That's what it is. Wherever you are, you've got to build self-propagating. You've got to build it that is self-propagating. You have to, if it's going to last over time, if the Lord tarries. And so that's what we're doing. All of this leads to shine. You know that we've planted 57 churches in 8.5 years. And this as we end this year, we at 586 baptisms. And so our leadership is got to be big. As far as our leadership seminars, our marriage seminars, our youth seminars, because you can't leave these people. You've got to get them from being babes in order to be working, viable members of the family of God. And so that's what we are doing. But I'm going to show you in a minute all the things that we are doing as far as that's concerned. But we acquired a place in downtown Bulawayo. This, I believe, and my dad thinks this, and Uncle Melville, you might know this better than me. I don't know, but this used to be either Modern Motors or something like that. This was a car dealership, and it has offices in the front, and it has the big area in the back. Now, we wanted a place downtown because all buses lead into town in Africa. And so we have acquired this place, and this is our World Bible School office. They walk in there, and right now we have 15,000 students, as I said. But it's also a place where the youth can come, because Sunday mornings we'll worship, and then the other part of the week, you know, the young people will come and they'll have fellowship, play basketball, they'll study, they'll have devotionals, you know, they'll plan the other functions. But it's a place where people just walking by can just come in, and people bring their World Bible School lessons. You connect with them. Bible studies are started, but we're right in the middle of town, and that really makes a difference. We had the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair, as they had it every year, even when we were growing up. And it's a commercial enterprise. People come from different continents and network about businesses and commerce. And so our young people there in Bulawayo said, we want to have a stand there. And they went to the offices, and the officer says, but this is commercial. They said, but can't we get one if we want it? And they said, yes, you can. And so that's our stand. Amongst all the businesses, there's our stand. And the young people manned it, and we had ministers that would volunteer each day. And so those are the results that we have had so far, and we are thankful for that. The leadership seminars you see there, the marriage seminars that we conduct all the time. So you can see about every other weekend we got things going. And when Sherry and I are there, we are teaching, and we're about the spiritual development. The brethren on the ground do the good works. We're thankful for that. So here is the Matabeleland Women's Lectureship that I mentioned to you. Now, I'm not going to tell you about the lectureship. I'm just going to say they met for 4 days out there. But what happened was something that was unbelievable to Africa. Well, maybe not unbelievable to the whole of Africa, but definitely unbelievable to this part of Africa. Because the Bible, when you drink it in and the Holy Spirit works on your heart, things change big time. And so there are women there. They are being served by men. The men of the church said to them, you just go out to put your tent up, and we will come, and we will bring the pots, and we will make the fire, and we'll cook the food, and we will serve you. Now that's nothing but, that's a miracle. In Africa, it's a miracle. but it's but amazing. The women, they couldn't stop talking about it. We work with Apologetics Press. So Carl Butt, who is part of Apologetics Press, has written a lot of stuff too, and he came to me and he said, Dorian, can you use some of our material? And I said, yes. He said, how much could you use? Because we will collect the books. You just put it on the container. And I said we could use about 10,000, and he went, okay. And he got the 10,000, and we have distributed those books into a lot of schools in Matabeleland right now, and now we've sent some to Zambia. And it's amazing where they can learn about our world was created and it wasn't an accident, and they can learn a lot of more things. And so this is Chidobe Secondary near Victoria Falls, and the other was in our Christian school in Bulawayo. And this is the reason I wanted to show this picture is because we gave them pencils, the students. We've given them pencils before, but the teachers put them in their desk. And when it's so precious, those pencils, that when they come into class, they have to check the pencil, and then they take the pencil, and then they've got to check it back in before they leave the classroom. Well, we had enough pencils that we gave each student a pencil to take home. Wow. Just awesome. Aren't we a blessed nation? That's the Zambian Youth Conference. They had a little over 1,000 young people there this year. As they are just amazing. I just want you. The church is growing. I mean, it's just amazing how the church is growing here. I'm not here to talk about all the difficulties. There's difficulties. You just have to get on the internet and find out the difficulties. But I'm telling you, that's not stopping them at all. That's not stopping them, and we're thankful for that. So this is the last thing I kind of want to share with you is Amazon Christian High School. When I was here last time, I told you about this couple. He is actually from Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. He came to Freed Hardman, and in 2 years, he became student body president. He has finished his BA, he's finished A Masters, he's on his second Masters about to be completed, and then he'll work on his doctorate. And he's going to be the first principal of our Christian high school. And our Christian high school is got already a total Zimbabwean board. We're not going to have, it's going to be Zimbabwean from the start. And so we've got 2 other couples that are working on their masters and doctorates, all Zimbabweans. The school will also be a boarding school, and we'll have between 800 and 1,000 students eventually. It's a 10-year project. We're planning to open the school January 2019, and we'll start with the freshman class. And I just want you to know we finished our first phase. You know, we only started it last August. We had to raise $100,000, and it's all been raised, and it's all been completed that you see there. You know, what was so amazing is that we were given 20 acres. I mean, I asked for 20 acres, and they said no, and they gave us 70 acres for the school, which is right next to the clinic. So you talk about the hub that we have. And so we built our first storage building as well, and those young people helped do that as well. There's our pump we drilled in the first phase, and it's capped right now. And so this is our second phase. And when I came, my intention was when I got back at the end of August, I was going to start raising money for the second. Now, I'm not asking you tonight, okay? I'm just want to inform you because you help us. So it's $160,000 to do all of this, you know, freshman classroom wing, you know, we want to get the faculty housing and get all that done. So I'm thinking, so anyway, I had this problem, and I'm lying in the hospital, and you know, of course I want to heal, but I'm frustrated too. Well, by the time I got out of the hospital, $60,000 was already raised because people knew about it. There was some sort of compassion factor, and I love it. so anyway, but right now we've raised $100,000 already, and we just lack $60,000. Well, actually, there was an individual that gave us $10,000 today, so we lack about $50,000. So the Lord's, I mean, it's done as far as I'm concerned. But continue to pray about it because we've had a place called Noe Mission in northern Zimbabwe that has been such a tremendous blessing to the church through the years. And that is one of the things that I, in my heart, wanted for southern Zimbabwe. And it's going to be tremendous in the years to come there as well. And it's big enough country to have 2 Christian high schools in it. We're thankful for that. So we added Lesotho. This is the Lesotho. It's called the Mountain Kingdom. And if you go in December, yes, you heard me right. If you go in December, you'll see it like this. If you go in July, you'll see it like this. Snow on the mountains in Africa, really? Yeah, the people from Europe come and ski there. But we're working there with them. There's a young man training to be a preacher there. The woman on the right, her husband also is a minister there, and they asked us to come. And so did this lady. The guy on the left works with us in Matabeleland. But this is his aunt through marriage. And when you see her walking down the street, you'd think she's just, you know, some ordinary lady. But she has her doctorate, and she is a pharmacist, and she teaches medical students at the University of Lesotho. And she is so excited about serving the Lord, and we're going to make some, I think, great inroads there in the years to come. Just want to close with these last 3 slides. There's a couple in Zimbabwe, which is happening all through Southern Africa, different families. That have blessed me to, you know, when I see with the limited resources and what they are doing, just blows me away. This is a couple that started helping these orphans, and most of them were boys in their area, and started bringing them to church and saw the boys like to play soccer, and so they formed their own soccer team. You know, they worked with them and helped them form their own soccer team, and the boys, now they have enough where they've got 2 soccer teams. They found an old bus, And all the boys got together and with enough knowledge from older people, put the bus together, and you can see their theme. I just love it. And this is the family, just a young family, and they just doing what they can, to make a difference in these lives of these orphans and share Jesus with them. I want to thank you all. Everything that I've shared tonight, you are a part of. And I want to thank you for that help that you've given us. The Psalm 121 was read. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. A psalm of ascension. Looking at the mountains and knowing that help comes from the Lord, which is far above the mountains, and the one who created the mountains. Moral progressives and atheists believe that out of nothing came our universe. And when I was in school, it took millions of years. And now it's billions of years. So if you have enough time behind it, nothing will then become something. And we know that's not even scientific. But we sit here tonight and we know that there is an intelligent designer. And that intelligent designer has revealed himself to us through his son, Jesus Christ. And so that's why we live in hope and in victory. And we live, well, put it this way, we are driven by eternity. That's the life we live. And you know what happens when you're driven by eternity? You make a bigger impact on this world than you would have if you only believed you lived 70 or 80 years. And so I would say, with the vision that you have to move and to expand your outreach, I would say just keep on sharing Jesus Christ. We share the invitation of Jesus, and we invite you to come as we stand and as we sing.